I'm sorry.
Tune in next week for my first video on the Xbox.
I mean, technically, I didn't lie.
So I know what you're thinking, the f*** is this? I thought the same thing when I first found out about this game watching E3 videos, and when I saw the presentation, I knew I wanted it. See, throughout this video series I mentioned games I bought on release. I mentioned them because I've never been one to buy games on their release date. I've always been one to wait until a game drops in price, and this behavior started when I was a kid. When you're young and you don't really have money to spend, most of the time you're dependent on your parents to support your gaming habits with random dollar bills here and there. But Naughty Bear really caught my attention, and I was ready to make a big step, and I scrubbed together the dough and made this the first game I ever bought on release. Naughty Bear is a game that means a lot to me, so yeah, I'm gonna play it. Cause relevancy, who needs that? Naughty Bear takes place on an island that is inhabited with cute, colorful teddy bears. However, on this island lives Naughty Bear, who is mistreated and excluded by the other asshole bears. Naughty's only one friend is the unseen narrator, who talks like he's Yo Gabba Gabba, and after a certain incident with the other bears, it pushes Naughty to go over the edge and brutally punish them. Now, the game doesn't necessarily try to tackle the serious tone of a bully victim fighting against his abusers. Nah, the game attacks it with a comedic tone, as anytime you brutally murder a cute teddy, the narrator throws puns at you. The point of the levels are for Naughty to reach and execute a certain bear that has Naughty feeling crossed, and while he makes his way to that bear, we need to cause as much mayhem as possible. The game doesn't necessarily encourage the whole sneak and kill other bears one at a time, but instead encourages running around and making a mess of everything. Now, Naughty has the ability to attack the bears with a variety of weapons that are lying around, but he can also set bear traps, that's hilarious, sabotage machines, and scare the bears to lure them in and get as much Naughty points as we can out of them, as the point of the game is to get the highest score. And if you are naughty enough, you can even drive certain bears insane, and another scare will push them over the edge, and they'll just commit suicide. Now, the game doesn't just throw nameless NPCs at you, but instead actually names all the characters and gives them slight personality traits. As you'll play, you'll notice how certain bears tend to retreat or hide, while others try to organize the other bears or call for help, or some even try to arm themselves and take the fight to Naughty. Certain bears are even emotionally fragile and very easy to push over the edge. Now, Naughty Bear isn't a game with a single campaign, but instead is episodic with different scenarios and different bears to fight against. Episode 1 starts things slow with a bear named Daddles having a birthday party which Naughty wasn't invited to, and when Naughty makes a gift for him anyways, the other bears scold him for it. And for that, Naughty goes on his first killing spree. Episode 2 has Chubby running for mayor, and rather than discussing his stance on foreign policy, Chubby announces a promise for the death of Naughty Bear, and part of his campaign involves ninja bears. And I'm gonna do my best to avoid making a joke about the orange politician hating the brown bear. So you know how people think that pigeons are actually government surveillance drones? Well, episode 3 proves that theory right, as cozy as having the military put cameras on birds' heads to spy on Naughty, and we got a protest this peacefully with Uzis. Episode 4 is probably the best episode in the game. Nibbles invites a bunch of the other bears for a cooking lesson, but grabs the wrong book and unleashes a zombie horde. I'm sorry, a zombear horde. And Naughty doesn't really like The Last of Us, so we need to shove our opinions down some throats. What's cool about this episode is not only do we have the zombears, but also the military bears return from the last episode and are fighting back against the zombears. This level is pure madness. You can stand in one spot and still rack up points. It also shows how much the bears really hate Naughty. Even if you try to help the bears fight off the horde, they'll still prioritize trying to cap you first. In the 5th episode, Trummels becomes an oil baron, and he wants to dig for oil in Naughty's hut and kill him too. God, the guy can't catch a break. Trummels also brought SWAT bears for protection. However, they aren't called SWAT, but instead BEAR, which stands for Bear Emergency Action Response. God, why wasn't this game of the year? Episode 6 has Fluffy build an army of robo-bears that are trying to design a super brain that could potentially destroy the universe, so the narrator encourages Naughty to inform Fluffy the potential danger with a giant sledgehammer. And episode 7 is the last episode that the game comes with. Sunbeam tries to make contact with aliens, however the aliens aren't friendly and try to enslave everybody, and it's up to us to save the island. At the end of it all, the bears finally show appreciation for Naughty before the bears show that they really are worse than Stalin, and Naughty responds by blowing everyone up with an RPG. Now, every time you start a level, you get to choose a costume that you unlock as you play the game and get trophies. There are 2 types of costumes for Naughty: hats and disguises. Hats are just an aesthetic that don't really provide any stat boosts that are too noticeable, but the disguises, however, have subtypes. The first type are outfits that Naughty puts together to mimic one of the special bears. They look like what a child would put together with stuff at home. Naughty even copies their behavior, and the stat boosts are really noticeable. Hell, the disguises work and make the other bears think that you're one of them. And the Type B disguise are straight skins of special bears. However, any Naughty behavior will have the bears recognize you as Naughty and start attacking. But that's where the fun begins. So remember episode 4 where the bears were all fighting each other and it was pure mayhem? Well, you can bring that mayhem to any of the other levels. Let's take episode 2 and we dress up as Master Miyagi and attack one of the colored bears. Now yes, while this gives away your position to the colorful bears, it doesn't for the ninja bears. And the colored bears will think all the ninja bears are Naughty and they will begin infighting, and oh boy, the madness is great. It's a really neat thought out feature but didn't get fully fleshed out. Let's take episode 4 again, and if we dress up as Colonel Ketchup, love that guy, we surf together. And if we join the fighting and help the other army bears fight off the zombies, for some reason the army bears will recognize you as naughty and start shooting at you. Even though you can't partake in the civil war you'll cause, it's still a lot of fun to manipulate the situation like this. Now, to make the game longer than it actually is, each episode has 4 challenges for you to complete, and I'm gonna run through them. The Killer Challenge is pretty simple, kill every bear and make sure nobody escapes. Insanity Challenge requires you to drive all the bears mental and to the brink of suicide.
Untouchable Challenge and Speedrun Challenge are pretty self-explanatory.
Friendly Challenge requires you not to attack any of the bears, so you need to kill them with the execution prompts because that makes total sense. Invisible Challenge means you need to get through the entire level without being seen by anybody. However, this challenge is extremely easy if you use a disguise, and just make sure that when you make a bear drink his own piss that nobody's around to see it. And lastly, we have the Top Hat Challenge, and this mode, it's the bane of my existence. In the Top Hat Challenge, all the bears wear top hats like true gentlemen do, and the required points to proceed through the levels even higher than regular because the point of this challenge is to maximize your naughtiness. The challenge is made even more difficult by the simple fact that every single bear is equipped with a laser gun that completely whips your health bar, and I can only beat the challenge with my infighting method. Now, Naughty Bear had online multiplayer, which is another big step I took as a kid, as it's the first game I ever played online, but let's see if I can get a game round. Yeah, that's really all there is to the game. The game wasn't popular, and the people who did play it hated it. Now, while the game did have frame rate problems and a couple of bugs, it was never anything that killed the fun for me. Actually, wait, no, I'm lying. I remember when I was trying to complete the Top Hat Challenge for episode 7, somehow I managed to get the Platinum, and when I was crossing the gate to finish the challenge, the game froze and didn't reward me with the trophy. And when I tried again and kept failing and having all the bears collectively laugh at me, I lost interest in trying to 100% this game. But with that said, I really do love Naughty Bear. It is one of my favorite games of all time, and unlike all the other games I have in my personal top 10 like God of War 3, the original Tomb Raider games, Donkey Kong Country, Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Maker 2, Super Mario Odyssey, Doom 3, which I own 5 times, and Majora's Mask, all these games have huge communities of fans, while Naughty Bear doesn't have that. Naughty Bear isn't a game that's known, which makes my love for it mean a lot more, as I'm probably one of the 6 people on this planet that knows this game exists. Naughty Bear is going to be a game that's going to be lost to time, as evident by the fact that this isn't even a game that's backwards compatible on the Series X. Yeah, this whole video has been done on my 360. I've had this thing for 14 years now, and while I'm impressed that it's still functioning and it hasn't been red ringed, I do see the signs of its aging, as the disc tray is barely responsive, and it can't really play massive games like Modern Warfare 3 or Halo 3 anymore. When the 360 finally dies, I won't be able to play Naughty Bear, so I want to make a video for this game to commemorate the memories I have with it. But anyway, yeah, I lied twice. Not only did I lie about not playing a Series X game, but I also didn't even play a game on the Series X. So for that,
I'm sorry.